What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Courage to Sell. We've been on hiatus recently, so we apologize for that, but we are back and we got a guest. And you know what? We also don't have Joe Marcoux. Joe is on a tour, a European tour, and he's got his clock all messed up. We'll just say that. So he is unable to be with us today. That's okay. So I'll be your host, Jeff Burlingame, and I am joined by our very special guest who we've been trying to get on the show for a while, and it's been completely our fault that it's taken this long. But we have Adam Packard here with Ninja Prospecting, and we're going to be talking about LinkedIn and all of the really cool stuff that Adam is doing with this company. So, Adam, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely great to have you. And again, I want to shout out so that everybody actually listening and watching this thing knows. Adam was our earliest guest ever. I think that's a world record for getting onto Discord. I mean, Adam, it's not easy, right? Getting on this platform,
Right.
and you nailed it.
Right.
So, got to give kudos where
Sure.
kudos are
Sure.
due, man. Cool. So, Adam, let's dive right in. Courage to Sell is all about learning lessons, the lessons of entrepreneurial journeys. And I want to start with kind of what's going on with your business right now. If you could give us a very brief rundown of what it is that you guys do with Ninja Prospecting.
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing this about 7 years. It's evolved quite a bit over that time, obviously. Where we're focused now, LinkedIn changes every year, so I have to stay up to date with what's working, what's not working. But our bread and butter has always been crafting a strategy and an approach, and then basically leveraging your LinkedIn account to start new conversations with cold prospects. There's a right way to do it. There's some outside the box ideas that we
Mm.
leverage to get more conversations, but really our goal is to take this heavy lifting part off your plate, leverage your LinkedIn account, start more conversations, hand them off to you, and let you kind of take them across the finish line.
Okay, awesome. So give me an idea, like what is something we do to reach out to people? Because I mean, as myself being on LinkedIn, people reach out to me with offers every friggin' day. So what is it that you guys are doing that makes this a little bit different and better than what a lot of
Yeah.
us are experiencing?
We pride ourselves, we call ourselves the opposite of every LinkedIn company you probably talk to, because if you are on LinkedIn at all, you get messages every day, and I get them too.
Mm,
Probably 9 out of 10 are just poorly done. Most people use LinkedIn to connect and pitch. That's not how
yep.
you should use LinkedIn, right? You connect, you get a message. I had one yesterday from a girl, and she said, "Hey, let's connect." And I said, "Okay, I'll roll the dice." I accepted. And immediately, like 30 seconds later, I get this long message, and I can do this, this, and this, and here's my calendar, and here's 2 links. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are, and you're just sending me all this stuff. So
Yep.
the way I look at LinkedIn and what makes our approach a little bit different is the only goal on LinkedIn should be to get the conversation out of LinkedIn. The only goal should be to create curiosity, conversation, and engagement. It's not a place to sell in a message. So our approach is really to help you build a pipeline. Yes, you're going to get opportunities today, but also don't burn through relationship capital and cut off any opportunity you might have in the future based on your poor approach, which is most people will try to marry you on the first date with LinkedIn. Our
Yes.
approach is to let's do a little bit of dating first. Let's get to know each
Yeah.
other. Let's have a conversation, add some value. So that's more of our approach is looking at LinkedIn as a way to build long-term relationships, strategic partnerships. Yes, find business opportunities, but build a network that you can always go back to.
Awesome. So, I mean, first of all, refreshing to hear because, like I mentioned, and you mentioned it too. Everybody gets sold on LinkedIn like every single day, and I automatically disconnect those folks. So, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you try and pitch me, you're out. You're not in the network anymore. I'm happy to hear that. Now, I'm curious about this. How did you land on LinkedIn? Because obviously, you could do this with Facebook groups, Instagram, even. So, why are we on LinkedIn?
It's kind of funny how it all actually happened. I had a corporate job, and I was always an entrepreneur most of my life, and I decided to work at a corporate role for a few years. Got laid off out of the blue, and had a friend honestly that came to me and said, "Hey, I can't pay you what you're making at your job, but I know you've been in networking and sales. Can you help me generate leads for this new startup that I have?" It was selling advertising, and I had
Mm,
never sold advertising a day in my life. Had no idea where to start. So I literally Googled how to sell advertising, and I looked at, okay, who do I need to reach out to? And I realized the only place I could find him was on LinkedIn. I had a
mm.
LinkedIn account for years, had never used it, so I logged in, trial and error. It's an easier place to do searches and find the right people.
Yeah.
Yes, Facebook could work, but honestly, I loathe Facebook Messenger. It's just overwhelmed with garbage.
Yeah.
Can't really find people as well, can't qualify them as well. So that's kind of how we stumbled into LinkedIn. And I thought I was going to be unique in the space. Everybody's doing Facebook and Instagram lead gen. No one's doing LinkedIn lead
Right.
gen. And I get into this and I see, oh, wow, there's a lot of people that do this. So we immediately had to differentiate and come up with a different kind of positioning as
Right.
to what, makes us different. But yeah, LinkedIn is a great place to find higher tier people. You can reach decision makers easier. And it's just a little bit more professional platform if it's used the right way.
If it's used the right way, which is
Yeah.
crucial because we talked about how it could be used the wrong way. So, yeah, talk to me about what you guys are doing. Let's look into like 2024. Like, what is it that you're doing to make sure you continue to differentiate and help these business owners on this platform grow their businesses? How are we helping people grow and scale like that?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. LinkedIn, 4 or 5 years ago, they didn't have many restrictions, so you could send out 100, 150 connection requests a day, kind of like a
Sure.
friend request on Facebook. Now they limit you to 20 a day.
Okay.
And you can do some other types of messaging, but you have to be more efficient and more effective. You can't just throw stuff against the wall and hope that it sticks anymore. It used
Yeah.
to work in the past. Now you've got to be better. So the outreach part has to have a different strategy to get the conversation started. Aside from like if your only reach out play is to ask someone to book a discovery call or a strategy session, you've got to do a little bit better than that. You've got to get a conversation started. Cold strangers are
Mm.
not going to get on your calendar from one message. You're not going to be able to sell them on that. So the outreach part has to be really, really dialed in, but also content is king. If you're not producing content on a regular basis, people will go to your profile and see, oh, wow, he hasn't posted anything in a year. This guy really doesn't
Right.
practice what he preaches. So it kind of works in tandem. You have to have the content that you're pushing out on a regular basis that gives you the brand awareness and the social proof and the visibility and the credibility. But then also on the outbound side, you have to get conversations started. I almost equate it like if you go to a seminar and you have the booth in the back of the room, the guy selling the product, it's like posting content. You're hoping someone comes up and buys your product, but chances are, if you'd rather make a sale, you need to get out in the crowd and shake hands and network, and that's more the outreach side that we do as well.
Yeah.
So our plan moving into 2024 is we're developing systems and tools to handle both of those parts. So the content off your plate, take the outbound messaging off your plate, leverage our team. We have a fully staffed VA team that does most of the work for you. But really, it's just about putting the right strategy in place. And that's why every time I have a conversation, that's the key is, okay, who are we trying to reach? What's the offer? What makes you special, unique, or different? Because if you don't have that audience dialed in, if your target audience is just business owners, and your offer is leadership coaching, I can't create anything with that, right? We've got to be a little bit more in the details. So really
Mm.
niching down and then having something unique, special, different about what you do to kind of get their attention and get the conversation started.
Okay, so let's grab a new. We were talking before the show, a new Bambi entrepreneur, right? I got the wobbly legs of a newborn baby deer, and I'm trying to start my business because I want to live off my passion. And then I reach out to you. Like, what are some expectations that you would have for me as a new entrepreneur? This is for anybody listening to this, watching this, that is maybe considering like, hey, I need leads. And I mean, who out here is not saying I need leads at this point? Every single person on the planet. That's part of the business. You have to have that to thrive. So they're saying they need leads. They're not quite in this space where they've niched it down. Maybe they're not fully producing this content. Like what are a few things you would ask of me, the entrepreneur, to get done to be able to really benefit from your platform and your business?
Yeah, I mean, depends on if they have current clients. Like if you have current clients right now, I would say, tell me about your current clients. What do they have in common? I mean, are we trying to fish in a giant pond or are we trying to be a big fish in a small pond, right? So I think the most important thing out of the gate is to really hone in on who do you serve best. And sometimes I like people to look for what do you have, what's your background, or were you a veteran? Did you go to school, at a large institution so you could network that way? We try
Mm.
to find some instant connection points where you can start conversations easier with a group that might have something in common with you. But the most important thing out of the gate is really narrowing down that audience because if you're sending a message to a very broad audience, it's just not going to be relevant and it's not going to resonate. But if you send a very specific message to a very specific audience that's really dialed in, it just rises to the surface because it's more relevant to them and more timely. So yeah, I think the important part in the beginning, and sometimes I'll even send our onboarding questionnaire. We do a deep dive to really understand you, your background, the business, the offer, the audience, pain
Mhm.
points, challenges, what makes you different, all that stuff we need to really understand. I've had calls, probably half the calls I have to turn them away and say, listen, you're not ready for us yet.
Yep.
Here's some homework you can do. Go do this. Come back to me when you have this dialed in a little bit more. Then we can talk strategy. So sometimes I'll even put the cart before the horse and send them some of our onboarding stuff just to kind of help them dial it in first.
That's awesome. And, honestly refreshing to hear from a marketing standpoint. I mean, like, how many marketing companies are out here saying, like, I'll get you 100 leads with zero context, with like zero understanding of me, my business. You're just going to tell me you're going to give me 100 leads. I'm going to call bullshit on that right there. There ain't no
Well,
way.
they make the assumption. I mean, if
Yeah.
you look at, yeah, I get 9, 10 messages a day that say I can fill your calendar with 10, 20, 30. Hey, have you ever thought
Yeah.
of having an appointment setter? And I'm like, you don't even know what my business is. How do you know you can
Right.
fill my calendar?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just garbage. So that's the key is if you just look at what everybody else is doing, just do the opposite. And honestly, you will stand apart from 90% of the people out there.
Yeah, and I think that's true across the board. Like, there's so many different pick an industry, man. Like, there is the 80% that's doing like the standard stuff, the what has become standard, what has become cliched, actually. And then there's the 20% that are standing out. They're actually, and maybe less so than that, even like a smaller percentage that are really standing out and they're crushing it. And that's the thing. Like, I love it. Go against the grain, you guys, whenever you possibly can. Do something. You're doing it with LinkedIn. It's like you could be saying,
Agreed.
yeah, yeah, just start as many DMs as possible. It's just a game. Start all the DMs and just
Right.
pitch immediately. One of them will buy, right? It's a numbers
Right.
game. Or start the conversation. Like, just build rapport, build trust, and then move forward with potentially getting on a call and maybe getting them signed up, right?
Be
I like
human.
that
Just
a
be
lot.
human. Be
Yeah.
conversational. Be human. Be real. Be authentic. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, you could message 100 people with an offer and one of them might buy, but you just lost
Yep.
99 potential clients based on the
Yep.
approach that you just took. So if you actually want to build a pipeline, which is what we help you do, you have to take a different approach and you have to humanize the messaging a little bit, right? Have
Right.
fun with it. Call out the like I call out the elephant in the room when I message someone because no one wants to hear from a guy that does lead gen. They get 5, 10 messages a day from guys like me. I
Yep.
reach out and say, hey Jeff, hey, I get it. You get lots of these messages in an effort not to spam you my calendar link or assume you even need help. If you need a resource in this space, let me know and I'm happy to give you some ideas. That's it.
Yeah.
And I get tons of messages back saying, hey, I appreciate the approach. Thank you. I'd love to have a conversation. Or, no, I'm not interested,
Right.
but really appreciate the different stance you took on this. So that's the
Yeah.
key is just humanize it a little bit and you have to have fun with it too. Any prospecting, if you're not enjoying it, don't do it. Right. So you have to have fun and have thick skin because no matter what, you're going to get some nasty people out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that are just completely adverse to any outreach whatsoever. If you're not like in my friends and family network, like, don't even talk to me, don't look my direction. But that's so much, it's such a smaller percentage than you really think when you're actually doing this outreach. Like, let's say it's 80-20 again, 20% of the time that's going to happen. Sure, have that thick skin, be prepared for that. The other 80% of the time, as long as you're not doing the sleazy, pushy, salesy stuff, like, a conversation could start and then who knows where that goes, right? So I definitely love that. I love the approach. Now, here's kind of the fun part of the show for us, because I think we've all experienced this in our lives, especially our entrepreneurial journeys. We call it sales fails. So what I'm curious about, Adam, is if you have a story you'd be willing to share with us, where maybe on a sales call, maybe just the cold outreach, like just something crazy that happened to you, but a time when it didn't work and we failed, but we know on this show we fail forward, right? We learn from
Yeah.
that mistake. So curious about the story, and then maybe like a lesson learned that you could pull from that if you're willing to share.
Yeah, yeah, I had one that happened last week.
Okay.
I have conversations, 5, 10 conversations a day, right? So
Mhm.
I hear a lot of different offers, and I'm always on the hunt for if I can find someone that has a great audience and a unique offer. Like I have a guy that was in the music and film industry, and now he coaches people in that industry how to create their own little side hustle, so they don't have to rely on or, the demands of that challenging industry. I've got a
Yeah.
Navy SEAL that does sleep coaching, right? So I got these cool
Mm.
offers. I had one last week and I think I just got too excited, right? So he told me his offer, told me
Yeah.
who he was trying to reach, told me even he was even on board with the approaches that we were talking about, and I think I just got so overly excited. I'm like this is a no brainer. As like I can help you.
Yeah.
I was like JoJo the Idiot Circus Boy, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh hang on, don't switch, hang on my audio.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was just like overly excited, saying, "Oh my God, this is a perfect fit. We got to do this, and we
Yeah.
can do that." And I think I just overwhelmed him and just was throwing up all over the place.
Yeah.
And I get to the end of the call, and I'm like, "Oh gosh, you have to have a little bit more calm demeanor." So that was a fail last week. I haven't heard back from the guy, so we'll see if that turns into anything. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's part of it. Is sometimes I just get really excited that there's a perfect fit that I know I can help, and then I just completely muffed it.
You're a kid on Christmas. Have you ever seen the video of the kid
Oh yeah,
getting the N64? It's a
yeah,
Nintendo
yeah.
64, and he freaks out. I totally get it. I think we've all been there. We've all done that for sure. A couple of lessons I could pull from just that example there, and I've done the same thing for sure. I've done that many times. Is for anybody listening and watching this, like you've got to think of it as not coaching on the call. Like this is the prerequisite to coaching. Like they have to do this discovery call with you. We make sure it's a good fit. We decide if we're going to move forward or not together, right? It's we find that win-win. The problem I see most entrepreneurs having is you're so passionate about what you do that you just want to coach them on the spot. So maybe it's that we end up, like you said, spewing on them. We're just like, hey, here's what I'm going to do with you, and you're going to do this, you're going to do that, or even just straight up full on coaching them, like, hey, next time try to do this instead. Here, I'll show you, screen share, and you're like walking them through a DM conversation or something. Like doing the full on coaching. The issue that we run into is when they step off the call, they forget everything. Like they're not using that. So we get excited because it's what we do. And then we think they're like listening and that they're gonna absorb this and they're gonna go do it and they're gonna have success and they're gonna love us for it. But they get off the call, they do nothing. Right. I think that's definitely one of the biggest things that we run into. And then the other lesson I could pull from this, I've discussed with many of our members in the dojo, it's your energy, right? So you have to meet them where their energy is, and then you got to pace them up with you. Like that, you have to grab their hand and kind of drag them to the starting line being signing up with you. But if you come out onto the call and on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being like, a toddler on sugar, right? Like, and a 1 being somebody asleep. Like, if you come onto the call and they're at a 4 and you're a toddler on sugar at a 10, you're going to scare them. You're going to scare them away. Like, they're not going to sign up, right? So it's cool to be excited and passionate about what you do. And at the same time, you got to meet people where they're at and take them up. So I love that. Some good lessons out of that for sure, Adam. Cool. So, Adam, how can people get in touch with you? How can they, start one of these conversations with you?
Yeah, easiest thing is just check out ninjaprospecting.com. Kind of give you an overview of the work that we do. There's a couple of videos on there that kind of show you our work and our process. And there's a link to book a call with me if you want to talk strategy and hear some ideas. And I'm always open to learning what people are trying to do and give you some creative outside the box ideas on how you can leverage LinkedIn. So ninjaprospecting.com.
Awesome. And, just for a little added incentive and help here for folks, who should be seeking you, Adam? Like if I'm an entrepreneur, what's my like, hey, here's your sign, go talk to Adam.
Yeah, if your audience is on LinkedIn, that's an easy one. Whether it's B2C or
Yeah.
B2B, that's the key. I will say most of our clients are in the coaching space, leadership, business, career, executive coach, but we also have a lot of startups, SaaS companies, sales. So, like I said, if your audience is on LinkedIn and you need some creative ways to start some conversations, but don't want to spend 2, 3 hours a day messaging people on LinkedIn, we can take that off your plate, or at least have a conversation and give you some ideas on, hey, you could do this or that. So, yeah, as long as your audience is on LinkedIn, we can find them, and then we can help. Then we can definitely help you.
And I think like a pretty broad spectrum of audiences are on LinkedIn. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
Yeah, we stay away from like the really like real estate agents, insurance, financial
Sure.
services, more of that the B2C stuff. We don't really do that, but if it's a B2B play, then we
Yeah.
definitely can handle that. Yeah.
Got it. Love it. All right. Well, Adam, we appreciate you being on the show. Sorry we couldn't drag Joe into this episode as well. But still, I think we had a great conversation, and I think this will be helpful for a lot of folks listening and watching this. So we appreciate you, man. And yeah, everybody listening, thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next episode. Chaz, take us out.